Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising. This is your tarot reading for the week ahead. Generally speaking, looking really great. You are falling into a trapping that many other star signs are finding themselves in this week. In part, that's just going straight into it, going all guns blazing, rolling up the sleeves. Right, I want to do this. I want to get on with this. Some ways that's helpful. You know, there has been respite. There has been some time for quiet, hopefully, for most of us over the festive period. And January, there's a bit of a discrepancy that happens in terms of the calendar and what's going on seasonally for most of us, particularly if we are in the Western Hemisphere. I think that's right. But certainly there is this call for still hibernating, and yet the new year's starting. So we're going back to work, we're going back to school, we're going back to those projects and tasks that we've put to one side. And there's sometimes a feeling and a need to kind of pick them back up immediately. And although it may sound like, well, I've done lots of that already, there is a need and a call for more reflection. And I'll speak about that a little bit more later, because that's one of your last cards. When I turned over the cards, I slightly chuckled to myself because there was a feeling of kind of self-assuredness, which is really nice to see. And there was almost a feeling of this scorpion kind of bravado, which I quite like in many ways. I'm like, yeah, go for it, Scorpio. But there was just this thought that popped into my head of like, oh, I can do it all. I can do everything. Because we started the reading with the Queen of Swords and the Empress. Really nice pairing, full of abundance, full of creativity, full of growth. The Empress very much embodying those energies of birthing projects, birthing ideas into reality, and the Queen of Swords having the foresight and the mental capacity, the plan, the idea of what to create, and then the Empress creating it for us. So I thought, oh, this is a perfect match. Then we had the Ten of Wands, and it slightly put a spanner in the work, the Ten of Wands, and this is the Lord of Oppression. And as you can see, the character is just carrying too much, trying to take too much forward simultaneously, all in the same way. Now, this isn't to say you shouldn't have that hope and that excitement for the year ahead. Of course you should. You should have those dreams and those idealisms. I want that for you, 100%. It's just a question of discernment. And this Ten of Wands energy links so beautifully with this Seven of Wands energy, the Lord of Valor. And it's showing you as the person on the hilltop that is blocking these other wands that are trying to come in. So it's really, really key this week, Scorpio, to be selective, be selective, be selective. You may have to learn the divine value of saying no, not only to other people. This isn't obstinate, like, no, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. But no to yourself as well. We often only have a limited amount of time. Time is the most precious resource that we have, right? And particularly if you're somebody that tends to be slightly idealistic, somebody that just can think, I'll do that. It's only going to take me 10 minutes, when in reality, it might take you 3 hours. Now, I'm so guilty of this. I don't even know where to start. It drives my husband absolutely insane. But it's this kind of, I can do 70 things in a day. That's absolutely fine. No problem. Particularly as when we have a bit of a break, as I hope many of you have able to been had. That was terrible grammar, but you know what I'm trying to say. We have a renewed sense of kind of motivation. We have a bit more energetic resource in our coffers, hopefully, and therefore we want to go in all guns blazing, as I mentioned right at the beginning. And that can often then we just find ourselves in the same cycle that we're in before, that we burn through those resources. I can feel myself doing it, so I'm having to be much more conscious. I was really good at napping over the festive break. I was good at bringing things back into balance, and now I'm back in. I want to do this and do this and do this and do this. And that isn't always possible. Well, it is possible, but it usually comes at a cost, an energetic cost. Therefore, I would really encourage you to just list everything out that you want to do, that you want to achieve, that you have plans for, that you're looking forward in 2025. And I would do a point of elimination and just cut it back to the bare bones. So if there are 10 things that you would really like to achieve this year, what about 3? What about 1? Is that actually better? Would it be better to be able to pull all your resource and focus and concentration in doing one thing really well than doing 10 things badly? This is the point. And it's interesting that I literally said the 10 things because that's what the 10 of Wands is trying to do. It's trying to carry on too much, too quickly ahead. Whereas the 7 of Wands, there is this process of elimination. It is reduced literally by the magic number of 3, as represented by the Empress. So it's not about cutting everything back to the quick. It's not streamlining everything back to the most reductive form, but it is about being selective and going, actually, do you know what? I just got a bit carried away, or I just assumed that I would be able to do it all. Sometimes the Queen of Swords, she's a great energy to plan. She's a great energy to be able to see what's coming up next. Brilliant. But she's not, doesn't necessarily have the easiest time to admit when she's wrong. She's like, no, this is the way it's meant to be. And I would really encourage you not to do that this week. Finally, we have the Star card. Remember before I mentioned about this reflective period still needing to come through a little bit rather than charging ahead. It's really nice to see the watery element come through. Now, strictly speaking, the Star rules Aquarius, which is an air sign, but it is the water bearer and the water carrier. It's quite a nice message there because perhaps it is being slightly more Aquarius in terms of not allowing your emotions to rule too much. It's not that they will get you into hot water, pun intended, necessarily. It's not that difficult, I don't feel that difficult emotions will necessarily be coming up for you this week, but it's just ensuring that we are in command of them, they're not in command of us. So we're in control of our emotions rather than our emotions dictating, oh, that looks exciting, that looks exciting, oh, that looks good, or maybe I should do that. You may find that that magpie energy is rearing its head a little bit, and it's like any shiny thing that is coming your way, oh, that looks good, oh, maybe I should do that, maybe I should do it. And I would say that this level of discernment runs across the board. It's not just about work, it's also about home, it's in your relationships, it's in your friendships. Really pay attention to what you're agreeing to. My personal pet peeve, and it is a bit of a personal rant is Freudian slip. Personal rant is when people say they're going to do something and don't follow through. I'm just thinking, don't offer to do it in the first place. I don't expect anything, but if you're going to say you're going to do it and you don't follow through, it's so infuriating. And that's a kind of example of what you might be guilty of this week, Scorpio. So be slightly selective. Again, it's not slipping into this point of being ingracious or ungenerous. Keep those virtues there 100%. Be selective with your commitments. That's a lovely way to summarize it. So I hope that helps. Otherwise, that's great. Really exciting things. Typically, the water signs are looking really good this week. I certainly know Cancer has been, and it's nice to see the Empress there with the flowing water behind and the flowing water of the Star. So it's unlikely that things are going to feel stagnant and stuck and frustrated. If they do, it's probably just because you're trying to take on too much too quickly. So hopefully this isn't the end of the good streak for Scorpio. I know your readings have been particularly out of the park of late. I don't think this is anything to worry. Maybe this is a slight overconfidence of having such a good time of recently. But go look at the past videos as a bit of a reminder of how great it has been for Scorpio of late. So that is my reading. Be sure to check out your rising sign and your moon sign for a more in-depth reading. If you're not sure how to do that, or you have no idea what I'm talking about, be sure to check out the website and their instructions on how just to do that. But until next week, have a gorgeous, gorgeous time ahead, and I shall see you then. Bye for now.